Shabbat Shalom. Since we came together last Shabbat, we had the phenomenon of anti-Semitism rear its head in the media, where after the Grammys, Kanye, or Ye, put out a piece of apparel on his website with anti-Semitic content on it. There was an outcry, and ultimately that apparel was taken down from the website. But in the wake of that outcry from the Jewish world, certainly, and from the wider world, Temple Judea had put out a post that said something to the effect of, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And that's not wisdom that we just get from contemporary society. It's wisdom that we receive from the Torah and in the Talmud. And it comes from this week's Torah portion. It's the case of the goring ox. The case goes something like this. An ox happens to gore, or harm, or possibly kill another human being. Now, what happens to the ox is clear. The ox is put to death. What is not clear, what this case hinges on, is what happens to the owner of that ox. And it all depends on if the owner or the community knows that this ox has a habit of harming other property or other animals or, God forbid, other people. If this thing happened out of the blue, that all of a sudden this ox turned violent and we didn't know what happened and they happened to harm another person, well, then the owner of that ox is not held responsible, either financially or at the pain of their own life. However, if this oxen is known to do things out in the world that are harmful, then absolutely the owner of the ox knows that they have a potential violent animal on their hands, and they didn't take the necessary steps in order to prevent more damage being done. The oxen does damage. Yes, now the owner needs to be held liable. In other words, and when we have a situation where we know that there is anti-Semitism or there is violence and a pattern of that happening, then we shouldn't be surprised when it happens again, just as we shouldn't be surprised in the case of an ox. We as a society may find ourselves in the position of the owners, in that same kind of idea of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. That if we know that a person in public life has a pattern of amplifying anti-Semitism or sharing their own anti-Semitism, for whatever reasons that might be, we need to be the responsible stewards of the goring ox in this case and take whatever steps we need to do to mitigate that damage, to marginalize that kind of voice in our society, to say that this is not okay. I was proud to see that the Jewish community stood up and did that. But it is another lesson from Torah, from the goring ox to Kanye West. When someone tells you or shows you who they are, you need to believe them. And that is at the peril of our own lives, unfortunately. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and we will see each other together in community this Shabbat.